Alright, here's an introduction to Flash symbols. We're going to be working with symbols a lot during this quarter, so you want to get the hang of these. We'll be going into more detail on symbols later, but just for right now, clean this up and keep you going with symbols. Alright, so this is my layer, my groups on this layer. And groups are cool, but symbols are really even cooler, and you're going to have to use symbols for quite a few reasons, and there are several advantages to them over using groups. And just to further complicate things, you can have groups within symbols, so you can have your cake and eat it too. So I think what I'll do is, I've got this one group here, I'll break that group apart. I'll just say modify ungroup. So these are still groups, and this is just a drawing now, all these separate little pieces. What I'm going to do is I'm going to select that whole thing, make sure I got it all, and I'm going to go up here to modify, convert to symbol, F8, and this is a shortcut you'll likely be using quite a bit. And when I do that, I get this dialog box that comes up, convert to symbol. I'll give it a name. I'll put the registration to the midpoint. Not that important. And this is very important though, the type. And for this class, the interactive class, I'm going to say that you should just, as a default, use movie clip. That will also be working with buttons. Graphics, you want to use graphics whenever you're making a straight animation. Like if you just want to go to video and just have a video of an animation, you should be using graphics in Flash. But for any kind of interactive stuff, you generally want to be using movie clips, though there are some exceptions. So for right now, we'll just go ahead and use a movie clip, and we'll say OK. Alright, so a couple things changed. One is we got our classic blue bounding box, just like we have on our symbols. It's a slightly different shade of blue, I think. Maybe not, I don't know. But it has this registration point, which I set to the middle, which is this circle with a little cross in the middle of it. And so that's the giveaway that it's a symbol. The groups don't have that little circle with the cross in it. So this means it's a symbol. The second thing that changed is that we got this is the movie clip symbol here. Symbol, and this changed. But the other thing is, go ahead and over here, by default, you should have your library tab, and click on your library tab, and you've got this. It's a library. And green wall showed up in there with the movie clip symbol. Alright. So, well, what does this do? How is it different from a group? The biggest difference from a group is that once you have this in the library, I can go out here and delete it on the stage, in the scene, and I can just bring instances out directly by dragging and dropping from the library. But the library holds it in storage, basically. Even if I delete all the instances, and these are each called an instance, of that symbol on the stage. So I can delete it, and I can bring it back out. So that's a very rudimentary use of the symbol. Kind of more interestingly, I can go back and I can double click on this, and it puts me into, instead of saying group up here, it says, oh, you're in the symbol green wall, and you can edit it. And it lets me edit it on the stage. But check this out, I'm going to make a couple of copies. So I've got 2 copies of green wall out here, and this is interesting. Now I'm going to use my free transform tool, and I'm going to scale this down. Okay. And I'm going to take this one, I'm going to rotate it. And so these instances can be adjusted separately from the original. Then I drag another, and it gives me that original. But now, watch what happens when I double click on green wall over here in the library. When I do that, I go to this empty white space, it says green wall up here, and this is what they call editing the symbol itself. So if I take this and add some, and each symbol has its own set of layers, which is very, very cool, which groups do not have. So I'll add a new layer here, and I'll call this a smokestack. And I'll add a pink smokestack on top of this, kind of looks like a factory or something. And I'll fill that pink. And I'll make some smoke. And I go back to scene 1 by clicking up here. And now each one of those instances that I had added to the stage has the pink smokestack added to it. Now I don't have to do that by double clicking here to go back. I can also edit it on the stage. So I could double click any one of the instances and it puts me into, I'm in green wall again. And so I could add another smokestack or something. A gray one. Now. And as you'll see, it's updating as I draw, and I double click here to go back to scene 1, and each one of the instances has that little clubby weird thing that I added to it. So again, I can delete these, pull it out of the library, and we have the new updated version of those. Now, the other cool thing about a symbol is that, let's say I wanted to have one of these be different, I can just break it apart and edit it separately, and it will not affect the other ones. So I would go here, modify, break apart. Okay, I could delete that. Hold down Shift to select everything. Go over here. And I could even go and do whatever I want to this. When you break something apart, break a symbol apart, it's no longer a symbol at all, it's just a drawing again. So there you go, I can select it, and I can delete it. So what you don't want to do is delete your master copy of your symbol. Delete it to your heart's content out here on the stage, but don't delete your master copy. Then you can always go back and use it. So you can also have symbols within symbols, you can have groups within symbols. It's very nifty, and let me show you what I mean by having symbols within symbols. So if I double click to go back, let me make this a little clearer. I'll go double click on green wall, so now I'm back in just the symbol mode, and you can see my layers here. I'm going to take this pink smokestack, I'll turn this off. I'm going to take this whole thing here, that element, and I'm going to convert that to a symbol. So modify, convert to symbol. Call it smokestack. Okay. Delete this part. Turn this back on. Alright. So now I've got smokestack in my symbol library. So let me go back to the scene. Okay. And notice that it got rid of that club thing right here. I could also just pull the smokestack instances out as well. Q, could rotate these. Q, rotate these. Q. I don't have to keep hitting Q once you're in free transform mode. It stays in free transform mode. And so, I can have the symbol by itself. I can have the symbol be a part of the green wall symbol. And then I can also go back and edit the smokestack by itself. So I could take this and turn the bottom half from pink to green. And go back to my scene, and sure enough, everything's updated, including its instance in the green wall. Now I can go back and undo that. Go back here, and everything's been updated. So symbols are your friends, and I'm just going to show you one last thing in the last video about how to convert a multiple layer drawing into a symbol if you've already done it in multiple layers.